it's not even Halloween yet. And
Yeah.
I'm already seeing Christmas lights pop up around my neighborhood, like
Oh,
full-on decorations.
wow.
And part of me is like, yes, bring on the holiday cheer. But the other part of me is thinking, can we at least get through pumpkin spice latte season first?
Right.
But hey, that's the thing about the holidays, isn't it? They bring up different feelings for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And for some of us, if we're being really honest, those feelings can be tough,
Yeah,
especially if loneliness is something we're already kind of navigating.
absolutely.
So you want to explore the why behind holiday loneliness for this deep dive.
Yeah,
And maybe even more importantly, find some strategies to not just survive, but actually thrive this year.
that's
And
right.
we've got some fascinating research to help us do just that.
We do. We're really going to kind of go beyond that surface level here,
Okay.
looking at some of like the psychological factors at play and some surprisingly practical tips that can help people maybe shift their experience a little bit this year.
I like it.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got this report we're diving into.
Mm-hmm.
Loneliness, holidays-report.pdf. And right off the bat, the intro really hit home for me.
Okay.
It talks about how the holidays are just bombarded with this message of happiness, family, togetherness.
Right.
Which, let's be real, that's not everyone's reality.
Exactly. And it makes it even harder when that's like the expectation.
Yes. And the report even goes on to say that it's not just in your head.
Mm.
There are actual psychological reasons why this happens.
There are. Yeah.
So the report breaks it down into 5 key reasons why loneliness seems to spike during the holidays. And there's one that I know from personal experience can be huge. That feeling of missing loved ones who are gone,
Yeah.
especially if it's the first holiday without them.
Oh, that's so tough.
It is. And, you might be thinking, well, duh, of course that's hard.
Right.
But the report actually digs into the science behind it,
Okay.
like explaining how grief can actually intensify during the holidays because of all those memories and traditions.
It's true. It's like all those familiar sights and sounds and smells associated with the holidays.
Yes.
They just kind of become these triggers for grief and loss, and it can make those feelings even more acute.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then on top of that loss, we've got this pressure cooker of expectations.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect holiday. Like something out of a Hallmark movie. I mean, we're just bombarded with images of these picture-perfect families gathered around a roaring fire, everyone's smiling. There's not a single burnt cookie in sight.
Of course.
I mean, come on, who hasn't felt that pressure?
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
The report actually quotes a study that found that people who place a high value on having the perfect holiday experience are significantly more likely to report feeling stressed, lonely, and even depressed during the holidays.
It makes total sense.
Right.
And, we can't forget about the elephant in the room here.
Social media.
Social media.
Yeah.
Exactly. We are constantly scrolling through these carefully curated feeds of everyone else's seemingly perfect holiday gatherings,
Oh, it's the worst.
which just makes us feel even more isolated and alone.
It's the comparison game on steroids. The report talks about how social media often presents such a distorted view of reality. Oh, totally. Especially during the holidays. And you're essentially comparing your behind-the-scenes bloopers to everyone else's highlight reel.
Exactly. And when you're already feeling vulnerable,
Right.
oof, that comparison.
Brutal. It's true. The holidays often act like a magnifying glass on what's already happening emotionally.
Mm.
So if you're already prone to loneliness, all those factors we just discussed can really turn up the volume considerably.
Yeah, it's like they just pour on the fuel to that fire.
Yeah.
And it's not just about feeling a little downright.
Yeah.
This report doesn't sugarcoat it.
No, it doesn't.
There's a whole section on the actual negative effects of holiday loneliness on our health.
Right.
And it's kind of eye-opening.
It is. We often brush off loneliness as just a temporary emotional state, but it can really have a profound impact on both our physical and mental well-being.
Yeah.
And those effects can linger long after the holidays are over.
One that jumped out at me was the connection between loneliness and sleep.
Oh, interesting.
I mean, I knew stress could mess with your sleep, but this report draws a direct line from loneliness to sleep, saying it can even throw things off in both directions.
Really?
Either you're lying awake staring at the ceiling, or you're sleeping way too much and still feeling exhausted.
Oh, wow.
Neither one sounds very festive.
No, not at all. And it all comes down to our brain chemistry.
Okay.
Loneliness triggers this stress response in the body, and it releases cortisol, which is often called the stress hormone.
Yeah.
And when cortisol levels are out of whack, it can really wreak havoc on our sleep-wake cycles.
So like when you're stressed about all that holiday stuff,
Yeah.
family dynamics, gift giving, trying to make everything perfect.
Yeah.
It's that cortisol surge that's making it harder to fall asleep or stay asleep.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
Oh,
And then there's the brain fog.
Oh, yeah.
I swear the holidays are already a time when I just feel like I'm juggling a million things.
Right.
Shopping lists, party planning, trying to remember everyone's gift preferences.
Totally.
And then you add on top of that this like extra cortisol making it hard to focus. And I'm lucky if I remember my own name some days.
Oh, I totally feel that. And that cortisol surge doesn't just mess with sleep.
Oh, no.
It also directly impacts our cognitive function.
Really?
Yeah. It can be harder to concentrate, to make decisions, even just to remember simple things. So that feeling of brain fog during the holidays, loneliness might actually be playing a role.
Okay, that's a little unsettling.
Yeah.
But it gets even more serious.
Or unfortunately, yes.
The report goes on to link chronic loneliness to some pretty significant long-term health risks.
It does. And the research is becoming increasingly clear on this.
Okay.
Prolonged loneliness increases our risk of heart problems, stroke, even dementia.
Wow.
It's like a ripple effect. You know, that initial stress response from loneliness kind of sets off this chain reaction in the body, leading to chronic inflammation and all these other issues that can really impact our health in the long term.
So this isn't just about having a more enjoyable holiday season.
Right.
This is about protecting our well-being for years to come.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay, so we've established that holiday loneliness is a real thing. It's not just in our heads. It's rooted in our brain chemistry.
Yeah,
And it can have a lasting impact on our health.
it can.
Okay, so how do we fix it?
Right. Because all of that is kind of a bummer to think about.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the
Yeah.
holidays are coming and we're talking about cortisol and dementia.
Right. Who wants to think about that? But the good news is this report doesn't just leave us hanging.
Okay.
It actually gives us a whole section on evidence-based strategies to combat holiday loneliness.
Okay, so like an action plan.
Exactly. And I appreciate that it goes beyond those like generic self-care tips we hear all the time.
Yeah.
This is about actionable strategies to actually shift how you experience the holidays.
I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's dive into the 15 strategies section.
Let's do it.
This part is packed with good stuff.
It is.
One that really stood out to me was about keeping busy but doing it strategically.
Okay.
And this isn't just about filling your calendar with any old thing.
Right.
The report actually suggests like exploring a new hobby
Yeah.
that truly sparks your interest, or even, get this, considering the companionship of a pet. Right.
You might think, distract myself with a furry friend. Why did I think of that?
Right.
But it actually goes a little deeper than that. The report highlights these studies showing that interacting with animals can have a measurable impact on reducing cortisol levels.
Really?
Yeah, and increasing oxytocin, which is sometimes called the cuddle hormone, because it's associated with like bonding and social connection.
So there's actual science behind the whole pets make everything better thing.
There is.
Another strategy that really resonated with me was about gratitude practice, but with a holiday twist.
Ooh, I love that one.
Right.
There's a ton of research on the power of gratitude for boosting mood and combating negative emotions. It's about shifting your focus from what you lack to what you do have in your life.
Right.
And that can be really powerful, especially during a time when we're constantly being bombarded with messages about what we should have or how we should be feeling.
Totally. And the report's suggestion is to make it a daily practice. Find just one thing each day to feel grateful for, no matter how small.
Yeah.
Like, even if it's just that delicious-smelling gingerbread candle you mentioned earlier, hey, gratitude is gratitude.
Exactly. It all counts.
Speaking of high expectations,
Oh, yeah.
the report dives into something I think we've all experienced.
What's that?
That pressure to create the perfect holiday.
Yes.
Who hasn't felt let down when their reality didn't quite match that Hallmark version?
Right. And the report really encourages us to challenge those unrealistic expectations. It's about reframing our thinking and focusing on what truly matters.
Yeah.
Maybe instead of stressing over a picture-perfect holiday feast, you decide to just order takeout and spend that extra time connecting with loved ones.
Oh, I like that.
Or maybe you let go of the need to buy like the perfect gift for everyone.
Yes.
And you focus on giving experiences or acts of service instead.
Those are great ideas. I love that. And, we can't wrap up this deep dive without talking about social media boundaries, especially during the holidays.
Oh, we have to talk about social media because let's be real, those perfectly curated feeds can be such a breeding ground for comparison and self-doubt.
It's true.
The report reminds us that what we see on social media is often a very highly edited, idealized version of reality.
It's like comparing your bloopers to everyone else's highlight reel.
Exact
No
thought.
wonder we feel inadequate.
Right.
The report suggests a few things here. One is to set some firm boundaries with social media.
Okay, good.
Maybe that's time limits. Maybe it's unfollowing accounts that trigger those negative feelings. Or maybe it's even a full-on digital detox for a few days.
Oh, I love that idea of a digital detox. Even just giving yourself a little break from social media can really help to reset your mindset and focus on what's actually happening in your own life.
Yeah. One last thing from the report that really resonated with me was how common holiday loneliness actually is.
Hmm.
It's easy to feel like you're the only one struggling,
Right? You feel very alone.
but the truth is you're not alone at all.
You're not. And just knowing that you're not alone in your experience can be incredibly validating.
It's true.
It normalizes those feelings, and it reminds us that we're not flawed or broken for struggling during what's marketed as like the most wonderful time of the year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is where self-compassion comes in, right?
Peak time.
Like we need to be kind to ourselves, especially during the holidays.
Yes.
This can be a really tough time for a lot of people, and it's okay to acknowledge that and to give ourselves permission to feel whatever it is we're feeling.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of holiday loneliness, here's a final thought-provoking question for you to ponder, based on an idea the report mentioned about unconventional celebrations.
Okay, I like it.
What's one thing you could do differently this year to make the holidays feel more like your own? A true reflection of what brings you joy and meaning.
I love it.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into holiday loneliness. We hope these insights inspire you to create a happier, healthier, and more authentic holiday season for yourself. And hey, maybe this is something we revisit in a future episode. Until then, take care.